People are always gonna hate, man. Ain't nothing you can do about it. You just gotta do what makes you happy, and we'll get into that in a second. But first, watch me shovel my driveway in the freezing cold. So we are headed down to the lake to check on a driveway that usually drifts pretty bad, and we're gonna go see how bad it is, and if it's all drifted then obviously we got to clear. But real quick, let me touch on this. There is, in the last 24 hours I've had to block 5 people from this channel because I'm at the point now where I mean I've been there for a while, but I don't deal with idiots. I mean, some people are just arrogant, ignorant, and you know, they don't really care about the topic that they're trying to discuss. They're just more concerned with starting an argument and getting a rise out of you, and that's all they want. You know, and let me explain real quick what that's all about. Now, I've had a number of people going nuts on that video that I made about how I plow. I'll put a link to that video at the end of this one, and I've had some people commenting saying, well, you know, if you plow it every 3 inches and you go to someone's house a number of times, and that's exactly why I made that video, because people were giving me crap telling me it was dishonest. Now, I've had a lot of really good feedback, and the majority of people that have left comments on that video or have emailed or texted me or whatever personally have told me, you know, that's exactly how I do it. There's nothing dishonest about it, especially if you're telling them beforehand. You know, so I really don't know what people's issue is, and not that, you know, it matters at the end of the day what I do. I don't pay their bills, they don't pay mine, so it shouldn't matter. But the point is, you know, I've had people, I had this one guy that was commenting, telling me, you know, if your equipment can't handle it, don't blame it on the equipment, you know, get better equipment, this and that. And like, listen, I have a brand new contractor grade Western plow and a 2500 HD with a 6.0. Yeah, it's a gas engine, but it is more than capable of plowing driveways, without a doubt. I used a half ton for years, as many of you guys know from watching my videos, and that half ton was more than capable. And I've explained 1,000 times in videos that, you know, I don't plow for the money. Yeah, the money's nice, but I pack away so much money in the summer to get me through the winter. I plow because it gives me something to do, and I can't stand to sit around and be bored, because I'm just not a lazy person, and I can't stand to just sit and wait for spring to roll around again. I can start doing cleanups and mowing grass. It just, you know, I don't plow for the money. I like it, you know, the money's good, and, you know, the money's always a bonus, but I don't plow for the money. So that being said, I don't have to take on 100 driveways and 100 parking lots, and it's not feast or famine for me at all. I take on enough to keep me busy, and that's it. And that being said, because I do that, I don't have to beat the crap out of my equipment, whereas I don't need a big diesel truck, and I don't need a big monster V-blade, and I don't need all that crap, you know, that can handle the abuse. My truck and my plow can easily handle some abuse. I mean, it's a contractor blade, and it's a 2500 HD. It can more than handle it. You know, it's probably overkill for what I do. For just, you know, I do 52 driveways in one small parking lot. You know, and the one I did, Niagara Fire Extinguisher, you guys have seen 2 videos now I plowed. That's a tiny lot too, and I just do that for a buddy of mine. But I've plowed 10 times the amount of that stuff, driveways and big parking lots, with a half ton for years without issue. Because then again, I still don't take on more than I need to the point where I have to rush and just beat the hell out of my equipment. I have never, excuse me, even with my half ton that I had before this truck, you know, I never ever had any breakdowns as a result of plowing. All the breakdowns and the issues I had with that truck was because of salt. It was because of all the salt on the roads and the salt that I was blowing off the back of this truck. When you run a salter in the back of the truck, that salt comes up under that truck. There's nothing you can do about it. It's just the way it works. And, you know, once you put a plow in a truck and you start going out in these roads and you're plowing, if you live in an area that uses salt instead of sand, you know, you're already diminishing the value of that truck. You put a salter on the back, even worse, because that stuff, no matter how much you wash it, it's just going to build up on there. It's just going to do damage. But, you know, for years, the only issues I ever had with that half ton, I plowed with it for 4 or 5 years. You know, a lot of heavy plowing. Go back to the videos and you'll see the parking lots I did with a foot of snow. I did that one video where I had the camera outside the truck and stuck, you know, in the corner of the lot watching me plow. That was over a foot of snow, and that half ton pushed that thing no problem. I had timberings in the back, timberings in the front, and same thing with this truck, timberings in the back, timberings in the front, because I have my 34-foot travel trailer with the slide outs that I pull with this truck, you know, and it handled it no problem, and that's because I didn't beat the hell out of it. So, you know, all the issues I had with that truck, it was brake lines and fuel lines and stuff like that, and it was just rotting out. I never had front end suspension problems with that truck. You know, I had some water pump issues and, you know, some pulleys and stuff I had to replace. The power steering line went, again, salt, and it rotted out. But, you know, that one guy that was commenting saying, don't blame your equipment, just get better equipment if your truck can't handle the equipment. And I was like, listen, I said, and I told him the same thing. I said, I used a half ton for years, man. He's like, I got an F350 with a big V-blade. Well, you know what? Maybe you're doing huge parking lots and you need that. And in that case, you know, it's having an F350 diesel with a V-blade is ideal for parking lots. Maybe you need that. But, you know, if you're just doing the same stuff that I'm doing and you have all that equipment, I'm sorry, pal, but you're overcompensating. You know, that's something you need to take up with your girlfriend or your wife, not with me. But, you know, I tried to kill him with kindness, and I said, you know what, to each their own. We have our own ways, man. This is just what I like. And then he started just bashing me more. He's like, well, if your equipment can't handle it because you got a weekend truck, you know, weekend truck. Okay. But, you know, whatever. People are going to do what they want and say what they want. And the only thing I can tell you guys is use what you have and, you know, just be smart about it. And the guys who plowed, there's probably more trucks out plowing in my area that are F-150s and Chevy or GMC 1500s or Dodge 1500s than there are bigger trucks. You know, and we live in major snow belts right in western New York. So these guys handle it every year, year after year without problem. So to tell me you can't plow with a half ton or this or that, you know, everyone can say what they want, but I have tons and tons of video proof that you can. You know, just like everyone told me I couldn't put wings on a poly plow, and I have tons and tons of videos physically proving that you can. So, you know, it is what it is, and to each their own. But my advice to you guys is don't let these haters crash on you. Don't let these haters convince you that you can't do it, because you can. And like I say in all my videos, if you want something bad enough, you can make it happen. Anything else is just an excuse. And that's exactly it. And, you know, so like I said, I get to the point where I just, you know, try to reason with these people, and you can't reason with people like that. So, you know, plain and simple, I just block them. I just block them. You're done. I don't care. See you later. You know, I don't need these people in my life, and I don't need them as subscribers if they're just going to be nasty to me or nasty to my other subscribers. I don't need you. So you can just go away with your hatred, and, you know, if you want to slam on me or bash or leave a nasty comment, that's fine. I'll try to reason with you for 1 or 2 more comments, and after that, if you just want to be a dick, then I'm going to block you, and you're gone. And that's it. You may create another account and come on and bash me again, but I'll just block you again. I mean, it's just as simple as it is. So, you know, the point of the whole thing is do what you want to do what you got to do, and use the equipment that you have. Don't ever let anybody tell you can't do it, because, you know, almost for everything and anything that guys will say on my videos or other people's videos that you can or can't do that as far as mowing or snow plowing, I have physical video proof that you can. And, you know, the first thing I usually do when these people start hating on me is I click on their channel and see what they have. And 98% of the time, they don't have any videos backing up what they say, if they have any videos at all. And, you know, like that guy that commented on that, he's got like 6 or 7 videos, and not one of them pertain to snow plowing, and not one of them show his equipment that he claims he has. So, you know, people are just on there to be nasty. So do what you got to do. Use the equipment you have, and don't ever let anybody tell you you can't do it. If you set your mind to it and you want to do it, you can do it.